I'm gonna mute myself from now. Oh, Persian, Italian, English, Spanish.
And some Chinese. Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
I lost some hair about that. Look,
你会说普通话？你会说汉语吗？
think when I
Sadegh.
speak. So. Yes,
Sadegh.
Sadegh, yeah.
你会说汉语吗？
我会说 Sadegh.
Wow, that's awesome. 我会说一点儿，可是我不知道很多。我有2个中国孩子。
Jongo? You went to university there?
No, 中国孩子，我有2个中国孩子。我的女儿是中国人，可是我的儿子是蒙古人。Oh, 9 seconds.
Oh, yours is much more advanced than me.
Nali.
Yeah, let's go.
Now we will be back. Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first session in 2021 for Me versus AI, and the topic today is very hot. First, I have to thank our sponsors, first deeplearning.ai for this, and also we have Amy Data Reply from UK. I have special thanks to Richard Foster-Fletcher for his help. And today I have 2 magnificent co-hosts with me. I have Ammar Mohanna from Lebanon, and I have Zina Rizqi from Tunisia. Please introduce yourself, Zina and Ammar. We'll start with Zina.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Zina Rizqi. I am Tunisian and I'm a data scientist in France in a company called Prevision.io. And this is all for me.
Ammar?
Okay, thank you, Zena. Thank you, Ghaith, for this introduction. My name is Ammar Mohanna. I am Lebanese. I am currently doing my PhD in AI in Italy. And I am an active learner, if I want to call myself so, in the community of Coursera and Deep Learning AI. I think we are all here to maybe learn something today. Please, Ghaith, go on.
Today we are trying to track and monitor the advancement and enhancement about AI in the world. And we'll start from Middle East and North Africa. I think the reason is clear, no need to mention why we start with this. But at the end, it's only the first episode, and then we will try to focus on each and every region in the world. We have magnificent panel with us. I hope 2 of them, they are already joined, and during the session, we are expecting also 2 great guests. Zena, if you are able to introduce our guest, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I will start by Thom. Hi, Thom. Can you introduce yourself in small words?
Sure. My name is Thom Ives. I work for Underwriters Laboratories, their prospector business. We have the largest plastics, paints, coatings, chemicals, personal care and cosmetics database in the world. We serve that up through a SaaS, and I serve their data science needs. And then I also am the founder of Integrated Machine Learning and AI, which is basically a broad scope educational company to support data scientists.
So honored to be one of the stewards of this integrated machine learning sessions. Thank you, Thom. And we have with us Sadegh Mohammadi. Darut Sadegh, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Sadegh Mohammadi. I'm a senior data scientist at Bayer AG, a pharma company. And my role is to lead data science pipeline for AI in ophthalmology and several other use cases in the direction of ophthalmology. And today I'm very excited to be in this meeting, and I'm looking forward to continue with this.
Thank you, Sadegh. And also we are going to have Dr. Samer Kantakji, but we are waiting for him to join. and also Mr. Wissam Yousef, and he's going to join in 1 hour, I think. So I let them introduce themselves once they join. Is that convenient for you, guys?
That's great. Thank you, Zina.
Amazing.
I will start. I will start our question with you. In fact, Ammar and Zina, forgive me, our guests, but because we have a clear sample about what we are going to speak about, it's about Ammar and Zina. Both of you, you are belong to countries from Middle East and North Africa, but you are working and living outside. So why? What's the reason you went outside? What is your plan for this, and what's pushed you to be there? Zena, she is in Nantes in France, and Ammar, he is working in Italy. So starting from Ammar, Ammar, tell us what's the reason.
Okay, so actually, this is completely personal, and maybe hearing lots of personal experience would give us a clear view why would anyone go outside of his country. So, for my personal experience, I need to continue and go further after finishing my software engineering degree. So, I decided to do a PhD and maybe go into research and maybe into applicative research as my case, because I'm doing my PhD in a company. So this is why I went out. I needed some like a platform, if I might call it, like the company and the university together. This is a platform for me to guide my learning path and learning directory towards knowing more about AI. So this is why I decided to leave, and because like in my country, in Lebanon, we have some problems with being late to technological advancements, just like the AI as it's new. So yeah, this is why I left. This is why I needed to leave.
Zena, can you tell us?
Yeah, for me, it's not that different from Ammar. But in order to understand, I will just story tell my career. From very young age, I've always been passionate about mathematics and new technologies, and seeing each toy and trying to just discover what is in it. So once I got my baccalaureate exam in Tunisia, I went towards engineering studies. And during my engineering studies, I tried programming, multi-platform applications, game development, robotics, applied computer science, but still didn't find my joy. Till the day one friend told me about data science, this amazing field that would group in the same package mathematics and computer science. So I told him I'll try. And when I was looking for an internship, I couldn't find an internship in Tunisia in this field back in 2018. So the solution was to try to find an internship abroad. So I was accepted by a magnificent laboratory called the Laboratory of Digital Sciences of Nantes. And thanks to this laboratory, I got to know a lot of professors in Polytechnic Nantes that bet on giving me a scholarship where I did 2 years to get an international engineering master after my engineering diploma in Tunisia. And once I finished it, I was directly recruited even before getting my diploma at prevision.io. So here I am now working in France and still not in Tunisia, but I'm trying my best to contribute, even though I'm a little bit, few kilometers away, shall I say. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, it's good start, I think, with your situation. I have to mention some, let's say, facts from the Middle East. First, we are talking about 500 million and more population in the all countries of the Middle East, starting from top east, maybe we are talking about Afghanistan, to if we are talking about MENA, to Morocco and Mauritania and the west. We are talking about most of these countries, they are having free schooler and learning educations. It's in their countries, especially for countries just like Syria, Egypt, I think Algeria also, and also maybe Iran. Sadegh can tell us more about this. The techniques, data science techniques and mathematics related to it, it was studied there starting from 80s. It's not something new. And we have right now a lot of people, they have the PhD and master on this sciences. And all of this didn't push us to reach a point that we have production actions on these countries? This is the first question. I suppose Dr. Samer, I think he is joining to us. Welcome, Dr. Samer. We will start directly with the first question, but I will ask you to introduce yourself first.
Yeah. By the way, I want to mention that for Dr. Samer, he's going to speak in Arab language, and Ammar is going to translate the questions. So, Dr. Samer, are you hearing us?
دكتور سامر، هل قدران تسمعنا لو سمحت؟ السلام عليكم دكتور سامر. I think there is a kind of technical problem. He is already joined. I will message him. Okay.
So in order to take time, let's start with the first question.
I will start with Sadegh. Sadegh, here's the fact, and I will tell you one last fact. It's from my side. It's from my personal experience. I graduated in 2008 from University of Aleppo in Syria. And in our department, which is AI and NLP department, we were almost 45 graduated students of that year. Right now, after 12 years, we have 0 of them working in Syria. Maybe 5 of them working in the Middle East. Most of them, they are working in USA and Europe right now. Now, where is the gap? Or where is the problem from your point of view? What is the challenges that you face also to move out of Middle East?
Well, there are several factors. So in my case, just to give you a background that why I left is because I mean that's one thing is it was my personal desire. So basically, I wanted to see the world. I wanted to go out of because I'm from a small village in Iran. So I just wanted to like put it in that way. So like a little kid with a big dream, and I wanted to look after my dream. So one of my dream was that I was very studious person, so still I am, but I'm a nerdish. I know that. So basically, I wanted to study in somewhere out of my country. So and it was like completely random for me. So I just tried different country, and I went to Sweden at the very beginning, and only to give you a background regarding my desire to go to a different place and learn is that I changed, I guess, 9 universities in my life. So 2 of them was in Iran, 2 of them was in Sweden, 3 of them was in Spain, 1 of them was in China, in Hong Kong, and 1 of them was in Italy. So that was my personal desire, that I would like to go and learn about like different culture, and at the same time increase my technical expertise. So basically, what I could see in the difference between, in general, EU European country, specifically in Sweden, for example, and in university where I was studying, it was that, so in the master level, there is not really big difference. So I would say that they do mostly a fundamental work during the bachelor study. So I remember that in my university, they're mainly, they have been very theoretical. The focus was on theoretical concept rather than going to lab and try. Because I remember when we were going to a lab, and for example, my major was electronic engineering. No, so we had to, like, for example, make a kind of electronic board and then put a transistor, I don't know, different diode or different elements. So we were getting like a warning: be careful, don't break it, we need that. No, so I mean, if I don't break, so how can I invent something? So I was more concerned about don't doing something wrong, rather than using my innovative skill to just try to do like error and trial, right? So that was the thing that like I would say that in a engineering field. I didn't study medicine or other fields, so only in my field I saw that the problem is that the gap is in a practical study. So we were very good at maths. I would say that the Iranian, you can see that they are very good in maths and physics. We win, a lot of Olympic medal in, let's say, in a theoretical exam, but in practice, they are not capable of doing that. But I think there is a lack in the educational system that they have to invest more on to put the student in a lab rather than in a class. So that's one gap. However, when I moved to Sweden at the very beginning, I would say that I was shocked that, like in a school, in a master level, they are the same thing repeated for me there. So basically, they have been very like theoretical again, and I was thinking, okay, there is no difference between the EU and my country, but then I realized that most of the education that that is happening for a European is mainly during bachelor study. So they learn programming there, they do lab work, and then for them, master is only to learn something and then going to a next level, maybe to get like a better salary. That's what I understood. So all the fundamental work that happened during this 3 years of study that they have during bachelor study, and then master level. And master is a place that you can be more specific, learn more about the concept, and if you like to do a PhD, and then you go to do research. But if you want to, during bachelor, you're ready to go to industry, I would say. So that's the difference that I've seen. That what I think is that we have to invest more during our bachelor in the lab rather than being in class.
Okay, thank you for your answer. In fact, we have this problem right now with Dr. Samer. He is joining, and then suddenly something happened. He lose the connection, or maybe something like that. And he is right now. I think he is also able to join us. I will ask him if he is able to get us. Assalamu alaikum.
And before, I will try to ask him to introduce himself. Okay? It's okay for you, right?
That's okay. Just let's check.
Okay.
Dr. Samer, assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Oh.
I think this is one of the major problems. He is just messaging me, I think. No. There is something. Dr. Samer, assalamu alaikum. He is able to join us, but he is unable to maybe hear us. Okay. Hopefully he will join soon. I will, Zina, I will move to the next question until Dr. Samer able to join us in better way. And Zina, or maybe Ammar, if you are able to tell us. Right now, we listened to your story and also to Sadegh's story. In fact, the question, it was about the challenges for Dr. Samer because he has clear idea about these challenges that we are facing. But what we are able to do, here's now my question. There is a lot of challenges. There is something also we didn't mention here. It's about some situations that not all the resources and the environment is able to be used in these countries. Countries just like Iran or Syria right now. I will tell you one of the reasons maybe Dr. Samer is unable to join us. It's about the platform that we are using. Maybe it's forbidden in Syria. So this is one of the challenges that we are facing, not only in data science, on a lot of things, because how political situation is reflecting to the people life each and every time. I mention this because I want Dr. Samer to speak about it, and he is able to, let's say, diagnose in a better way. But since he is unable to join, I have to mention this right now. But we have a full community there, not only in Syria, and we are talking about the whole region. And this community for sure is able to do something. So Zena, Are you able to highlight this and tell us in North Africa what we have? And then I think you have something Tom will tell us about it. So Zena, to you, please.
Thank you, Ghaith. For me, I will start with the challenges. I think in order to talk about initiatives or anything else or what we can do, we should really have a clear idea first about what are the challenges. And today, as North African, I'm going to talk about it in the challenges in North Africa. In fact, in North Africa, like everywhere else in the world, artificial intelligence is moving up the agenda as companies, entrepreneurs, and governments work out how to keep peace with the fourth industrial revolution. However, still, we are constantly facing three main challenges, if I can say this. The first challenge, in fact, when we talk about having artificial intelligence, we will talk mainly about early stage AI startups. And the first main challenge that we would talk about is the challenge to get good valuations. In fact, whereas US based VCs are generally willing to take a bet on high innovation, high risk idea, North Africa investors typically avoid companies that don't have a proven cash flow and solid traction. So they don't even give confidence, in fact, in investing in AI startups. Another challenge also faced by startups in North Africa that VCs often don't have the in-house expertise to adequately evaluate AI solutions. Most North African VCs have a banking background, financial background, so they don't. Unlike, like for example, for Silicon Valley, um, where many investors are mainly techies, they know about the technology, they know how promising it is. They have this consciousness that this is revolutionizing the world. Also, we are going to tell me, okay, if there are no investors, for example, in North Africa, why shouldn't they think about an investor from abroad? In fact, looking abroad for funding is an option, good option, but it's not always an easy route. While the economic and political situation in North Africa countries, especially talking about the Jasmine Revolution, or as you call it, the Arab Spring, um, these conditions made VCs nervous and not feeling comfortable to invest in North Africa. So generally, they would say, I would like to invest in an American or European startup, but not in North African startup, even though putting away the distance. Okay. The second challenge also that a friend, he's an entrepreneur that talked to me about, is that recruiting AI talent is an ongoing pressure point. In fact, in order to have AI companies, successful AI companies, the first thing that comes to mind, smart data scientists that are well trained, that know about this technology, etc. But for Tunisia and North Africa in general, it's still so challenging because we are not doing as the European or North American universities that made the step to invest in degrees or department or programs that involve this technology. However, for the universities in North Africa, they're still even thinking about it, not doing it. And that's one of the main reasons for which I decided to go abroad, because there were no programs about it. So that's why we can't find talents. And now, 2 years ago, I'm getting so old, I just recognized that it's 2 years. 2 years after, we have programs that are dedicated to teaching and transferring these technologies, but still they are facing another kind of AI talents problem. When we talk about AI sales persons, in fact, the salespersons are still frozen in the phase that they don't know anything about this technology, so they are not able to sell services or AI services or AI products, and this makes a very bad solution, a very bad challenge. Sorry. And if you are going to tell me, okay, so we have talents like you, for example, the percentage, this may be shocking for you, that 40% of the engineers in France are North African. 40% of the
Okay,
computer science.
then this is put me on front of other points, which is when we are talking
Yeah,
about the sales or the, let's say, kind of
they are
soft
all AI
skills,
talents, in fact.
soft skills related to AI. In fact, this is
Mm-hmm.
what Sadegh told us, that all of this, it's part of any, in Syria at least, because I'm coming from Syria, of any bachelor program in all the University of Syria, to have the communication skills and the soft skills related to any, and also project management skills. So it's
Yeah,
part of the bachelor program. But also we need to move, I think, here to what kind of actions that we are able to do, what kind of initiatives we are able
yeah,
to do. So
you are right. You are right.
so
But in
and we
fact, I
have,
wanted to start with the challenges, and after that, I wanted to move
okay,
to the
please.
initiatives. And the last challenge I wanted to talk about is about the brain drain, and we are going to talk about this in another time. So when we talk about initiatives, we talk about Tom Ives. For me, initiatives, Tom Ives. So Tom Ives is just a great person that is dedicated to help people around the world, and I'm so honored to have him as a friend, as a guide, and like as a mentor, may I say this? And I think Tom has a lot to talk to us and has a lot to influence people, maybe encourage people that want to do it, want to make initiatives. So please, Tom, may you talk to us about your initiatives? I only know two, and I don't doubt there are many, but the two that I know, that you are giving classes in Africa, and also you created this amazing community where we exchange informations and learning, where we learn and grow together. So please tell us about your initiatives. Thank
It's
you.
it, it's an honor to get a chance to tell this story. And Wraith and Zina, you haven't heard this part before, but I first became aware of how much I could help because a Tunisian student reached out to me for help, trying to find an internship. And I started to help him as much as I could. And then he said this to me: "Sir, you're the only one that helps me." That made me kind of, it lit a fire inside me. And I thought, wow, this guy thought I helped him, how many others can I help? And so I just started doing what was possible. And it was surprising to me the number of people that started coming to me, because I felt like I still have a lot to grow in, but wow, maybe I can help some people. And the more people I started to help, the more I sought for help from the people I was helping. How can I help more people? And before long, I had made brothers and sisters and daughters and sons all over the world. And frankly, just felt shocked that I was encouraging them and helping them so much. But it was them that showed me that I did have a lot to give. And that made me feel great and wanted to keep doing it. So it's been just a growth, a maturing to say, okay, we're doing this much now. And I try to do this. I don't try to just think I know what needs to be done. I read a lot of LinkedIn posts. I listen to my friends from around the world. I try to become more cognizant of what are the challenges. And then I work with my friends like Wraith and Zina to figure, and many others, by the way, to figure out, okay, what's the next step we can take that will really make a big difference? And that's it in a nutshell. But I want to explain just one of the other motives. Um, I started writing homage posts on Wednesdays on LinkedIn because I feel very grateful to the great intellects of the past who've blessed us with their intellectual advancements. And then I started looking at history of education too, and Wraith offered to start helping me and with those posts. And I said, yes, please. And so now we have a small homage post team, and then Wraith and I do our history of education. But now Wraith and I are seeing these great insights about why those intellectual advancements have happened in the past. And we see those same principles in the future causing these great explosions of intellectual advancements in the data sciences right now. So we're going to try to leverage from those learnings as we push forward to help regions like MENA, but not just MENA. Wraith and I are hoping to help all of the places, so it's basically equalized in the knowledge delivery. And that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, very nice, Tom. Thank you. So following like this intuition of yours, after trying and helping many students around the world, and let's focus on those in MENA right now. Um, I know that your initiative and your work is international, but like, give me the privilege of like asking about MENA students if you have some. Uh, After your experience with them and their questions to you, where do you think that the gap is between learning AI and between applying it into production and development? Where do you find the problem? Is it in the learning process, or in the deployment process, or in the political state, or in the economical state of their situation? What do you think here?
Ammar, you just basically asked me to expose the extent of my blindness and ignorance. And I assure you, I'm still learning. But what's amazing is I meet people from the MENA region and even deeper into Africa. It's very rare that they'll tell me what their resource limits are. Very rare. In fact, I think even John Kamar in Nigeria, the only reason he shared with me some of the limits around Africa near him, by the way, I'm below MENA right now, was because I asked. And so I don't know why. It may be because I need to do my own research, but I'm horribly unaware of the resource limits. However, on the knowledge limits, I don't sense a lack of talent when I speak with people from MENA. I don't, in fact, I sense a deep passion and an eagerness to connect with opportunity. So that I think may be, from my limited viewpoint, where we can help the most. How can we bring more opportunity there? And frankly, in my role, I'm now allowed to work remotely for my job. And I'm wondering why I feel like I could work just fine with the data scientists from the MENA region if they worked under me or worked with me. So I would like to see more of that, where we say, oh, well, we'll just have you work remotely.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Dr. Samer. Please, Ghaith, if you want to introduce Dr. Samer, or
I'm just saying.
لا الصوت سيء.
ايوه تمام. Okay, أنا دكتور, everyone please, I will send a message to the doctor about the question, and hopefully, because we are able to hear him, but he is unable to hear us. So maybe he can give us his answer according to the message that I am going to send it to him.
okay. So just to so everyone knows, I'm gonna translate Dr. Samer's Arabic's answer to everyone. So everyone would be comfortable with it. And Ghaith is sending his question. Could you please, Ghaith, tell us the question?
The question, in fact, is the same question that I asked it to Sadegh, which is, according to the fact that we have, what is the gap? Where is the gap, and what is the challenges that we are going to face? But not as a student right now, as a person, he has a lot of initiatives. He is part of a lot of private and public universities, and he has his experience on banking also industry. So I want to get his feedback about this. Again, we lose Dr. Samer. This is one of, I told you, it wasn't expected. In fact, maybe because of this platform. And Thursday, the connection was perfect for him. I will move Thom to some other, let's say, examples that we are talking about. Previously, we mentioned about a report that appeared describing the AI strategy on the world. And according to that, in MENA countries, we have the report is covering around 60 countries, 60 nations. In MENA countries, we have only 3 nations or 3 states they have this kind of strategy. It's only UAE, where I'm right now, and Turkey and Saudi Arabia. And in fact, Saudi Arabia and UAE strategies is almost the same. So I know that there is one of our friends on Deep Learning AI ambassadors. She is Merv Ayush. She is part of the team who is creating the strategy for Turkey, AI strategy for Turkey. The other countries, they don't have this kind of strategy. And according to that, let us check if Dr. Samer able to answer us. Dr. Samer, please answer us about the question. لو سمحت جاوبنا على السؤال اللي بعت لك اياه على لينكدين.
Hello, Dr. Samer. Can you hear us?
الصوت متقطع ما في صوت تقريبا، صوت متقطع. تسمعوني احكي؟
Yes.
تفضل دكتور.
طيب بدون ما اعرف السؤال، هذا اول درس عملي عن الصعوبات. نت متواضع جدا، مع اني عم بشتغل على نت 7 ميجا يعني LTE. المشكلة الثانية، عندنا عقوبات أمريكية بنحط بروكسي لنتجاوزها، وعندنا عقوبات من داخل سوريا، مو عقوبات يعني ضبط أو رقابة من داخل سوريا بنحاول نتجاوزها. فتصور أنا بدي أقفز جدارين، بروكسي من سوريا لبرا، وبروكسي حتى أتجاوز العقوبات الأمريكية. هاي تحدي جديد هلأ ظهر معنا بشكل عملي. طبعا أنا ما عم بسمع شيء، إذا عم تسمعوني الأمور جيدة. طيب هي صعوبة عملية الآن مارسناها بشكل عملي. ممكن سؤال تسمعوني سؤال ولا تابع بدون ما أسمع؟
دكتور إذا سامعني فنحن عم نتكلم عن التحديات، فأنت اللي عم بتقوله هو في نفس جوابنا.
ممتاز. نعم، بصراحة أنا دائما بنعاني من مشكلة النت، مشكلة البطء، مشكلة الرقابة الداخلية من سوريا وكيف بدك تتجاوزها ببروكسي، الحجب يعني بنسميه. والمشكلة الثانية العقوبات الأمريكية اللي هي عقوبات دولية على سوريا، وبالتالي عندنا دائما جدارين يجب أن نقفز عليهما حتى نحسن نتواصل مع الطرف الآخر. نحن نتواصل، يعني هذا الحل موجود، ما عندنا مشكلة، لكن بس تصور كيف نعمل هذا الأساس. فالبنية التحتية متواضعة جدا. التحدي الثاني موضوع العمل كفرق تيم، كفرق عمل. البنية القانونية في بلادنا عم نتكلم أنا على الأقل، هي نفسها بتصور بالسعودية ودول الخليج، تحمي عم نحكي عن سوريا بشكل رئيسي، تحمي العامل وليس رب العمل. وبالتالي أنا كرب عمل بدي أساوي فريق عمل تيم، أو بدي أعمل شركة وأشتغل، يستطيع العمل انه يتركني ويمشي باستمرار مهما تعبت عليه وعملت له كورسات واستثمرت في الموارد البشريه، فبيستطيع العامل بيتركني وبيمشي دائما. وبالتالي انا برجع انا وحيد، وان حاولت اقوم بالمشروع انا لوحدي، طبعا هذا كلام مستحيل لانه التخصصات صارت كبيره جدا ودقيقه جدا. فهذا اشكاليه اخرى، انه القانون لا يساعدني على ضبط العقود التي بيني وبين العمال، او بيني وبين الموظفين، او بيني وبين المبرمجين. طبعا عم نحكي على العقود اللي هي فيزيائيا لوكالي، فما ادراك اذا بدي احكي عن عقود ريموتلي، يعني انا عامل عقود مع ناس الكترونيا. فهذا الكلام اي كلام، ايضا القانون انا ما بيحمي لي عملي. لذلك اي استثمار انا بدي اوضعه في هذا العمل هو من باب يعني الجنون او ضياع الاموال، وبالتالي انا من كل لحظه ممكن ان ينهار عملي. ممكن اعطيك مثال بسيط جدا. الان انا وشريكي في دبي نعيد عملنا اللي أنجزناه في 2012، وهو عبارة عن شبيه بنظام شبيه بالاي ار بي. عم نسويه الآن بطريقة الويب ابلكيشن. بالويب ابلكيشن الآن نعاني الأمرين من ترخيص شركة. أنا بدي أقبض فلوس، حتى أقبض فلوس بدي يكون في عندي حساب بنكي، حتى يكون عندي حساب بنكي لازم ما أكون سوري ولا من الجنسية السورية. وبالتالي هي من البنى التحتية أيضا بتعترضني. أنا لا أستطيع استثمار، أنا بدي أحط حساب عملي في اسم شخص آخر، وهذا في إشكالية. يعني أنا لازم أكون برات سوريا، لازم يكون معي جنسية غير سورية، حتى الإقامة غير السورية ما بتفيدني. وبالتالي أنا هي مشكلة أخرى الآن، فتح الحساب البنكي حتى أحسن أدفع وأقبض. أنا ما بستطيع أعمل لا سبسكريبشنز، ولا بحسن استلم فلوس، ولا وزع فلوس لأني سوري. هاي مشكلتنا مع العقوبات الأمريكية. بصراحة العقوبات الأمريكية هي عقوبات على الشعب السوري أكثر منها على الحكومة. الحكومة مدبرة حالها، يعني ما عندها مشكلة. لكن نحن كأفراد نعاني الأمرين. بتصور هذا الكلام موجود بإيران، انه معنا ضيف من ايران، موجود في بعض الدول مثل ليبيا، مثل السودان الان خرجت من العقوبات نوعا ما. فهي اشكاليه. البنى التحتيه انا عندي معيقه الي. من حيث الموارد البشريه، عندنا موارد بشريه ذات ذكاء خارق، هذا مشهود له في كثير من الاماكن، وانا زرت دول كثيره جدا وشفت ولمحت وعاشرت. فلذلك الموارد البشريه عندنا قابله للتطور بشكل لا يوصف. قابلة، يعني عندنا موارد بشرية ذكية جدا تستطيع أن تنتج أشياء غريبة. يعني أعطيك مثال بسيط جدا. عندنا السبير بارتس، قطع التبديل. نحن ما بيلزمنا نجيب قطع تبديل من أي بلد. تستطيع البلاد، خصوصا مدينة حلب اللي حضرتك منها، حلب تستطيع أن تصنع أي شيء يخطر في بالك، أي شيء. أعطيني أي قطعة صعبة أو غير صعبة، تلاقينا في سوريا بيستطيعوا يقلدوها، وبيستطيعوا انه يعملوا السبير بارتس اللي لازم لنا من دون ما نستورد او بدون ما نعمل اعاقه. فهي عندي مشكله. انا البنى التحتيه دائما هي العائق الاول عندي بالاي اي، وبتصور انه حلها ممكن، لكن عم يكون مثل ما ذكرت من سابق، الحل يكون فردي حتى نتخلص من الاشياء هي كلها. فعم نشوف المبادره الفرديه هي الحل، المبادره الجماعيه تكاد تكون محاصره جدا.
Okay,
انتهيت.
Dr. Sammer, can you hear me now?
No, yes, تفضل.
Okay, I'm gonna translate again what you said for the others to maybe understand, and maybe please give me some notes if I miss something. Okay, is
إن
it
شاء
fine?
الله. Yeah.
So Ghaith asked Dr. Sammer about the current fact and the problem that we are facing in MENA, and especially we're talking here about Syria because Dr. Sammer has lots of experience in making and working with people in Syria and in the Gulf countries. So as you all seen, we first faced a big problem about the internet connection that is encountering Dr. Samer, and because there is two sides of problem. The first problem is the proxy from the from outside of the country. So there is American bannings and problems that are prohibiting Syrian citizens and not the government to publish and go online on websites. So we first need to cross this problem. Then they have the problem of the government that is imposing some internet limitations in order to see everything and maybe take care of everything that is happening. So this is a first problem. It is encounterable, but it is a big problem anyway. The second problem is the teamwork and the low side, because as Dr. Samer mentioned, there's a problem in protecting the worker and having too much protection
Not
for the worker and no
not
protection at all for the
owner.
and no protection at all for the boss. Because when you have someone to work with, you are training him, you are giving him time and courses and maybe lots of money, and then at any given time he could leave and he could just be out of the company. So this is here you have no protection for yourself. So in such cases it is useless to go and make some initiative and open maybe companies and stuff like this. So Dr. Samer gave us a third side of the problem. The human resources is there, but you can't apply them very well because we have a problem of organizing the connections and organizing the communication between and the laws between the boss and the worker. Last of all, Dr. Samer said that the initiative, the Lonely Wolf initiative, is the solution and the one that is working. It is not a sustainable solution, but this is how it's working now. And he mentioned that webinars and communities online are maybe the best solution for now in such cases.
We have one point, opening bank accounts. We can't open
Okay, yeah.
account because we are
Let
Syrians.
me, Ammar, keep this for me
Yes.
because I'm living here in Dubai. In fact, there is some regulations that prevent Syrian who is not living in Dubai. They don't have legal residency in Dubai to open a bank account in Dubai, even if they have a company here or something. So this is something that yes, it's appeared here. If you want to have a bank account, you have to get first a legal residency, and this is not easy sometimes. And it was forbidden 100% during the let's say 2012, 2013 because of the war in Syria. Right now, I think things it's become better, but also it's political cases or political circumstances is it's reflecting here. So yes, this is what Dr. Samer personally he faced for his job because he has a partner here in Dubai and they want to start for just to promote their products which is related to ARP, and they are unable just to take this because it will be very risky for them because they are unable to go legally in a legal way. I want first to thank you, Dr. Samer, for this. First, we want to say hello to Mr. Wissam. Zina, if you can take care about this.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Wissam. Thank you for being with us today. It's really a pleasure. Can you tell us about yourself in a few words, please? We are not hearing you, Mr. Wissam. Mm.
Just try the cam and mic setting point, setting button, and may try to change your mic input. I think it is excused because this is a new software that we're using, and I don't think anyone is used to changing the
Yes, I think
inputs
right
and
now
the settings.
right now, if he sign out and back again, I think it will work for him. Zaina, there is something you was talking about. It's about the initiative in North Africa. So right now we try to cover the challenges and we speak about the initiatives, but in North Africa, what you have to tell us?
So in North Africa, I'm going to talk about Tunisia because Tunisia is the only government that had made like official steps to raise consciousness around AI. So the government of Tunisia has created an AI task force and a steering committee to develop a national AI strategy. So the strategy was done since 2019 and still in process. So the primary goal is to facilitate the emergence of AI ecosystem acting as a strong lever to the development. So they are trying to finance. Also, they are trying to organize some workshops. They are trying to empower the research laboratories and startups that are trying to work in this field. And also, they are trying to make some cooperations with other governments and other universities. Also, I will take the chance to talk about the individual also initiatives. We are seeing more and more uh, Tunisians or North Africans trying to do their best, even though they are abroad. For example, which is the case for me. I'm working abroad, but thanks to my company, I am responsible for an academic assistance program whose main objective is to democratize AI and empower universities and research laboratories. And for me, the first destination was in Tunisia. So I had a lot of partnerships with national engineering schools in Tunisia and universities in Tunisia. So we provide them with learning resources. We try to make workshops for them, and also even try to guide them even in getting internships and trying to guide them while using the tools. So for the initiatives, it's mainly the cooperation of two members in North Africa. We have the governments that are trying their best to improve the situation, even though it's not that practical. But also we have a lot of individuals that are striving to making things better and telling, let's give up on the mentality of waiting the government to do something, and let's try by ourselves. So yeah, those are the initiatives in North Africa. They are not major, but we're on the right path, and this is the most important.
Thank you, Zena. Tom, I just want to, just because Dr. Samer mentioned this, that the personal or the private initiatives, it's the only things that will solve some issues for some countries, just like we said about Iran and Syria. And you have, because I know that, and because you explained to us about this, you have a lot of personal initiatives, which is right now you have also a team around you trying to be with you. And we are all admire this. But I want a word from you about this, the importance of this initiative and where it can be reached. What is the final step for it? I understand that we are not suggesting that we are going to create another Google with this private initiative, but where it will reach and how it will help from your point of view.
So I'm glad you said that we won't create another Google. Maybe I dream too big, but the more I started making myself available to help, I, I don't speak about this a lot just yet, but companies started reaching out to me too, startups. And it's amazing the level of thought that happens, Wraith, all the time. You and I have seen this in our study of history. We're always amazed. How did Al-Khwarizmi get to this point? And the more we study, the more we get hints of how he got to that point. And there's such an integration of knowledge happening now. And I would even say, I mean, COVID's been horrible, but it's also not been without loss. It's not been without some advancements. Now we see this integration of perspectives around the world. And so when I start to consider a startup activity that has huge worldwide potential, I have a world map right here. Y'all might see me look up sometimes. It's because when I hear you speak of a region of the world, I look at it. But with the very talented, inspiring friends I've made around the world, ideas start to formulate. And we get to leverage from the brilliance we've seen in history and take it to the next level. So I would encourage everyone, dream practically, but dream big also. We might see the next best gift to the world come from MENA. What you see in history too is areas of greater need can also be the mother of greater inventions. We might even see the next great level of thinking that helps mankind come out of the middle of Africa where things are the poorest. We don't know yet. I think the real goal should be to bring the knowledge to people. I just had a student ask me recently, if I study AI real well, but then I come up with a solution for something, but I won't have the hardware to do it. And I can imagine he's thinking, I don't have access to GPT-3 level hardware. And I want to tell the world, none of us do. I don't have access to that level hardware. But now we have someone brilliant that's about to release a book through PAC called Dennis Rothman. And he's already teaching us, look, if you understand, this gets back to the knowledge, the know-how. If you understand transformers and you understand how to architect them, you can design a transformer that outperforms GPT-3 on specific tasks. So if we give this level of education and know-how and understanding that if you can get on the internet and you can use Google Colab, you can check out a GPU or a TPU, and you can begin to come up with transformers that do these things, you're delivering solutions to the world. I would love to see MENA show we can deliver. You have this need, we have these abilities now. Oh, how did you do that with your lack of resources? What lack of resources? I have as much resources as Thom Ives. And I'm not saying that all of MENA has, obviously, I have a very high quality internet connection. Internet connections in my country are very strong. But even someone with 80% availability on their internet can make world-changing advancements if they study carefully and look for where they can fulfill needs. I hope that helped.
Thank you, Thom. I think Mr. Sadegh is going to leave us soon. So I want to ask him as a data scientist addressing to data scientists or the younger version of you as a student addressing to students in MENA zone or in Iran specifically. So what are the advices? What are the words or anything message you want to tell them, to tell the people that are learning this field and trying to work in this field, and what are the advices that you would give them to progress while facing many challenges that all of our guests talked about. Yes, go for it.
Well, my advice is not only limited to data science or whatever field. So it's very general. So if you really, it's very aligned with what Thom he mentioned. So basically, the position that I have today, if they want advice from me, is not because I was capable of really doing that. So as I said, I'm coming from very like small village in Iran. If you think that I'm very rich person, it's not true. I was not rich, but I managed to study in several universities, changing different country with having minimal support from my family. So it doesn't mean that they didn't want to, but basically they were not capable of doing that. So basically the position that I have today is coming from my internal desire. I want to do that, and I did it, and that's the only thing that I can tell to them. So if you really, as Thom mentioned, be a dreamer, dream as much as you can, and then don't step back if someone tells you, well, are you crazy? You can't do that. So I remember just one single example that I was telling to person X that before exactly the day that a day before that I wanted to leave my country, and he asked me, okay, what you are going to do, and said, well, I want to go abroad. And then he said, what is your ultimate goal? I said, well, I want to do a PhD. And then he looked back at me.
It's okay.
And then he said that it's not possible. And I was supposed to get a motivation from this person, but what has happened was that I get really in contradictory from what is opposite direction. So I never stop dreaming. So if your dream is that to be a good data scientist, I would say that this is like drink a glass of water. Just dream that you want to be like a good data scientist. But what I can advise is that every day you would have a new challenge, and every day you can do something. But don't be because culturally, Iranian, I don't know, people from the Gulf region is really different from people, let's say, from Sweden. They're very calm. They do consistent every day, little by little. They have their own coffee break. They have their own, I don't know. They're very, very little. Maybe they work 5 hours a day, but very slowly. But every day they work 5 hours a day. Not like myself.
So you are talking. Okay, sorry for interrupting. I need to add here maybe and ask you something further. So you are talking about consistency, that we need to have some consistency with our desire to develop. But we always hear that we need to dream and we need to stay focused and we need to think big. And those are really catchy words whenever we're in utopia. But in real life, do you think that you moving abroad your country and moving outside of MENA was a big step towards forgetting about the consistency and the willing to leave and the willing to continue and to succeed?
Yeah.
Was it a great step? Yeah. Or maybe if we want to give it a percentage, how important is it?
Well, if you ask me what would be my situation if I would stay in Iran, I would say that again, in my case, I would have been a successful person. So what I have about myself, and basically what I think, if you would be a hard worker, you can find another dream. So maybe if you ask me, okay, what I would, sometimes I was asking myself what I would have done if I would stay in Iran. So I would be a good seller. So because my father, he had a kind of shop, and I was always having a second plan to go and sell my stuff for other places. No matter where you are, you just plan to be a successful person with what you have in your hands. As Thom mentioned, so for example, as Thom mentioned, people, they think that we have a limitless number of GPUs, TPUs, or whatsoever, but it's not true. Here also we have our limited resource. It's not that you go to your boss and said that, okay, give me a 10 GPU and said that yes, this is fine. No, first you have to go and with your CPU, maybe make a proof of concept, then you make it bigger and bigger, right? So because here is also, you need to play your cards, right? It's not that, you go and you get whatever. But anyway, regarding data science is that what I can suggest is that I know that there are, like, in Iran, for example, we don't have a lot of resource as far as I hear. For example, Coursera is not operating properly in Iran because of due to some sanctions, which I can understand. That, I mean, like, this is educational platform. You cannot impose a sanction on top of this educational platform. So this is completely against whatever, I mean, logic which I cannot really understand. Like, for example, Kaggle community, I think we have the same problem, which is a good platform that people, they can meet each other. They solve like some open source problem in the healthcare domain, in the green energy. I know that we don't have that, but we can copy this concept. And then we try it internally with some motivated. I'm quite sure we have a lot of motivated students over there. We have very good university that you can build your own community, and you start to work on your little dream, but don't lose your motivation, because here also everything is not really perfect. So we are also having a challenge here outside the country. We have to deal with being far away from family. We have to deal with your visa status. A lot of stuff that we have to also deal with that. But still, we keep going to reach our goal, right? So for you is that at least, like in country, you have, like, you speak the same language, and you have like a good, I would say that good university in Iran. So we have like a very good university, Sharif, Tehran, and there are a lot of good university there. You can build up your community and then start to work toward your dream. And anyway, we have this limitation, what we should do. Either we have to leave it or we have to keep it, right? So that's what I can say. So go slowly, be patient, and dream big. These three elements that I can like suggest to all Iranians. So at least I know Iran. I don't know about Dubai or other countries, but that's what I can suggest to this motivated person who want to learn about data science.
Thank you, Mr. Sadegh. So now, Mr. Wissam just joined us. Are you hearing us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. That's amazing. I'm so happy to have you among us. So just before beginning, bombarding you with all our questions, we would like to know about you. So can you introduce yourself in a few words, please? And I think a lot of audience are just excited to hear about you, and especially hear about your career. And yeah, go for it, Mr.
Thank you
so
much. Thank you for inviting me today for this event. Again, sorry for the technical issues. Hello, everyone. So my name is Wissam Yousef. I am initially a telecom engineer that I've worked in software for almost all my life. I've never worked in telecom, practically speaking. I started my career almost 17 years ago in Beirut, here in Lebanon, for a simple reason that I did not want to leave my country. In Lebanon, it's a pretty tough situation, not just today. It has been the case forever. We've always faced problems in immigration, losing talents for other countries, Europe, US, and the GCC as well, Dubai and Saudi Arabia, other countries. Which is actually today is our real assets in Lebanon. It's our talents abroad. But at the same time, it was kind of frustrating for me because I know that software can be delivered from anywhere in the world. We only need a laptop, we only need a hardware device, and that's it. We can do whatever we want. So I was so stubborn about this idea to the point that I partnered with other similar minds, like-minded people, and we established CME in Lebanon back in 2003, summer 2003. And this is where all started. So we started to hire additional engineers to work as a typical outsourcing firm from Lebanon to other countries, mainly in the US market. companies in the US market. So we started initially by providing software development resources and different expertise from web development to mobile development, etc., until we also reached a point where we developed our own capabilities to develop hardware and not just software. With time and by gaining expertise in different domains from telecom to healthcare, food, digital wallet, energy, and others, we were able to gain deep domain expertise and not just the coding experience, not just the technical aspect, which is something extremely important here. Today, the challenge is not just about coders. It's more about understanding the domain expertise, understanding the business challenge, and then coding comes into the place. So thankfully to the Lebanese talents and their multidisciplinary background that they have, mainly in engineering and other areas, we were able to grasp the domain expertise in most of the businesses where we worked. And it allowed us to move from a typical outsourcing firm into a company that has solutions and products, to offer solutions and products to solve real challenges, real business challenges. So we grew CME from 4 engineers back in 2003 to almost 350 globally today, where almost 220 engineers are located in Beirut today. So we have offices in China, we have offices in India, Argentina, and the US as well. So in terms of a career, personal career, as I said, I've worked in multiple disciplines across my career. I've started as a software developer, then I moved to hardware, and finally now I'm doing management, which is the least exciting job compared to the other ones.
That's amazing. And before you came, and after that, I will move to Ammar, Muhanna, to ask you. We were talking about challenges. What are like I talked about the challenges that we face in North Africa while wanted to starting a startup or a business. What like the funding problems, the lack of enough talented people, etc. What are the challenges that were faced, for example, for you in Lebanon? When you wanted to start your own business?
Yeah, you know, there are two kinds of challenges. You have the common challenges that are almost in every single country today, regardless of Lebanon or other countries. So here I'm talking about retaining talents. This is the same problems that you face in Lebanon. It's exactly the same in Silicon Valley. They also have the same problem. So it's an industry problem. It's not really specific to Lebanon. However, when it comes to Lebanon specifically, Lebanon is not really known on the global map as an outsourcing company. So we have a problem to promote or to advertise Lebanon as an outsourcing destination. So this is mainly the main problems that we're facing today.
Okay, this is great to hear. This is and really aspiring for everyone who's hearing us today. So after you just giving us a brief about CME and what does it do currently, could you tell us a bit more about AI in CME and what's the importance and why did you needed to go into this new field, knowing that it is a bit complicated and a bit like far from it's not nothing is far from AI, but this is something new. This is like a new thing. Why did you decide to do that?
Sure. So as you said, it's not just new, it's also hard to convince customers and businesses to adopt AI. You know, it always starts from a problem, from a local problem, a business challenge. This is how it starts. The main challenges that, or the main industries where we work with today, we're talking about the medical industry, the insurance industry specifically, the food industry, supply chain, all of this. They face operational challenges. They face, they need predictability. They need to predict. They have a need for to manage the human errors and all of this. They need to automate. And it's not just always about a typical software solution. It's more about going into the extra mile where you can have a smart solution in place for optimization and automation. I can give you a couple of examples. For instance, in the food safety, can you hear me? Sorry. Hello?
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you, Mr. Wissam.
Yes,
Yes, we
yes,
can hear you.
yes. We can hear you very well. Please go on.
Yeah. So one of the example is in the food safety. One of the challenges that they currently have in restaurants in general is ability to log temperature logs. which is always a fraudulent operation. Why? Because the employees in the restaurants do not consider this job as their main job. They consider that making sandwiches, delivering food, etc. This is the main production. This is the main job that they do. So usually they tend not to log the proper temperature or not to do it the proper way, to follow the right procedures. So what happens, what we actually did is we automated the whole experience of temperature logging through hardware, IoT, plus artificial intelligence, because we were able to identify the items or the food ingredients automatically by using image recognition technique and mapping it to the infrared thermometer and the measurements that we collect from the device itself. So here it is an example of combining IoT plus artificial intelligence, specifically machine learning, into a model that solves an existing problem that would cause a brand damage if it happens actually to a brand or to a restaurant. Another example is the medical claims. We all know that today the way they process medical claims, specifically insurance companies, is pretty tough. They need doctors. They need it's a long process to analyze and decide whether the claim is fraudulent or it's partially approved or fully approved. So this is also not just a rule-based solution, but it also needs some what I call the last mile or the additional mile where you can actually make smart decisions using artificial intelligence. There are multiple examples as well. For instance, the support call centers. Today, most of companies, they log their calls, but they don't do anything with it. They just go back to the records whenever they have a problem, but they don't really sense any or measure any customer sentiment based on this. So what we actually did is we transformed the logs, the voice calls, the records into readable text, and not just any text, but we transformed it into tags, which is the most important elements of the speech. And then we map it and we were able to extract a customer sentiment or a measurement for the customer satisfaction from these calls. What's nice about this is that because we are based in the MENA region and we speak Arabic, we were able to do it to identify even the Arabic language. And you know that there are different dialects in Arabic. So this was pretty challenging also. But again, the challenge here is not just the technical solution. It's more about convincing the customer to adapt the solution. And this is where we are and we're always facing the main challenge.
Okay, thank you. This pops up a new question for me. So in some cases, AI was used as a luxury. Do you think AI is seen as a luxury? Do you think that this is a luxury here? For example, like the food temperature solution, was it needed before, or just when we could do it, we did it?
You know, it depends. Seeing AI as a luxury, it's also we were responsible as an IT team or the IT industry. It is also responsible for making it look this way, because we were always aiming high into AI before even solving the small problems using AI, and this is what generated the AI bubble. It's the same what's happening now with blockchain and other technologies. We created these bubbles by over promising, if you want, or even trying to achieve much more than what we need, what we actually need, or the businesses need. For instance, the problems that I just mentioned, which is the food temperature, it is a real problem that they have. Many restaurants, many brands, they were closed by the health departments in the United States or even in other markets just because they are not compliant. So it's a real problem that's not just costing them money, but it's costing brand damage. It's the same when I'm talking about the call center data. This is something that they already have, and they all talk about big data and analytics and all of these things, but they don't really evaluate or assess what they currently have. And even today, Ammar, the way companies are trying to apply digital transformation, which is again, it's another bubble, they tend to forget the basics. I think it's important, whether for AI or any other technology, is to start solving the basic problems and then gradually build up the momentum for the bigger and the long-term goals of the technology.
I have a question building on Ammar's thought. Do you believe that brands now, they not only in MENA zone around the world, are conscious enough about the importance of this field? Or they are just
It
considering it
depends.
as luxury?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends on the leadership of the company. So there are some leaders today in the market, regardless of the size of the company. By the way, it doesn't have to be a big company. Sometimes a leader of a small company would understand better the value of AI or technology much more than a leader of a big enterprise. But today, our job is to spread awareness as an IT industry. And when we spread awareness about the technology and its impact, it's going to impact the leadership in these companies. You know, we also need to understand the way they make decisions in the companies. It's not the IT guy who's going to make the decision. It's more often going to be the CEO, the CFO. It's more about financial, to make sense financially as a solution. So all of this is something that we need to take care of it, or take it into consideration whenever we try to convince a customer of applying or using the AI. There's also the challenge of privacy and data, because most of companies, they are sensitive when you're asking them about sharing their data. And this is something that the answer is 90% no. So this is why the technology or the IT industry came up with the federated learning, right, to address this problem, or supervised learning, because sometimes when put in place a solution that's based on supervised learning, the leaders of a company usually are afraid from dedicating time, because they think that this is going to cost them time and money from their own team, while the unsupervised learning is probably a better solution for them. So again, there are challenges related to data and other aspects, but I think we are on the right track, because we're trying to solve the challenge. We're trying to solve, or to break the barriers that they have in their mind.
And how CME is acting to solve these challenges, as a last question from me.
We act as a co-creator with our customers. We don't pretend that we are coming and we are going to help you get out of your current challenges or beat your current challenges because we have better solutions. No, we're here to help you co-create your own solution for your own existing problem. We're not going to apply a ready-made product for your problem. We're here to help you to address your current challenge based on your needs, based on your constraints, and based on your challenges. So if you don't want to share your data, it's fine. We can find another solution for this. If you're afraid about dedicating time for your team or getting time from your team, that's fine. We're going to find another solution for this. So we're trying to make the customer the champion and not CME. And this is also important. It's more about making them shine and not the IT company or the technology company.
Thank you so much. I think Sadegh was as curious as I am, having Mr. Wissam with us, and he has a question for you.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Wissam. I really enjoyed your inspiration talk. Let's say it was like based on, it was not only inspiration, but at the same time, it was based on a true story, which was not only managerial speaking, but it was based on facts. So I really liked it. Your talks. However, I would like to know, how do you deal with the model interpretability of because most of a business case, the major challenge we are facing right now, at least in the medical field, is that we have a prediction, but then we cannot explain how the model make these predictions. So I think in all other business use cases, you show to top management of other maybe business or client, and then the first question they might ask you, I'm quite sure they would ask you, okay, then how you end up with this, the model would end up with this conclusion, and how do you solve this problem?
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, we faced the same problem with the claims, medical claims management or adjudication, when we use the artificial intelligence to address this problem. It's all about how we ended up, or the algorithm ended up with the solution, or with this decision specifically. It's a challenge indeed. You're totally right about it. I think it's more about building confidence in the solution or building confidence in the output of the solution. Now, there are, of course, technical solutions that are in place to put or to develop what you just mentioned, which is the interpreted solution or the models. But right now, we're not able to use it yet. It's not part of our solution yet. The challenge, I wouldn't say that this is our top priority now, because I think it's going to come in the next few years. For now, we're even a step back. It's not even there. So we're even trying to convince the customer to test it and not just to challenge the result or challenge the output. And I think this is something that's going to happen once they start seeing the value in the final output, which is the return on investment, the financial output. And this is important because the best way to challenge or to address this problem is to convince them to initially, at least, treat it as a black box. And then the same way they treat a different unit that they currently have in their enterprise or other vendors that they deal with as a black box, and they need to judge it based on results, based on financial results, of course, whether it's the optimization of the cost, reduction of administrative cost, or even detecting the values or detecting the anomalies in the system. Now, specifically for the medical claims, we went through different type of tests to convince the customer in doing it. The first one is very similar to what you're seeing now, in the same way they are testing the vaccines, the COVID-19 vaccines and other vaccines. They run simulations using the vaccine, right, and others and different samples without using the vaccines, and then they measure the output. And then they compare whether the vaccine has an efficiency or not. And we're doing the same with AI. We're running the same, or we're running the AI models on a specific set of data, random data, of course. And then they are also having humans or doctors managing claims on a different set of data, which is completely different. And then they are comparing the results. And we are able to, until now, demonstrate the efficiency of the AI model in terms of reducing the decision-making process, as well as detecting anomalies that they were not even noticing it before.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wissam.
Thank you very much.
I just want, Sadegh, are you continue with us or you are going to leave? You continue with us? I'm able to ask you a question.
It's completely against my personal desire, but unfortunately I have to leave. I really enjoyed today call, and hopefully we will have again another sessions to discuss further about different topics in AI.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sadegh.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask Mr. Sadegh before leaving?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, of course.
You wrote a text said, if leader of big industry would understand the AI, startup never would have ever been exist.
Exactly.
Yes, but I want to differ between big industries in IT or in others, because in IT they are depend on the small business to know the turn of the innovations, because the small business more effective in this case, and this is the status in the world. Microsoft, Google, etc. They are buying and taking this small business because they are more effective to know the turn of the innovations points. So the other, I agree with you without IT.
Yeah, so basically, so what I think about that is that big company their strategy is that mainly bringing innovation to a company by, as you mentioned, buying a smaller company. So that brings a lot of, people are aware of that. So I have a couple of friends that they are, they have been able to create a startup company, but all of them, one of them has been acquired by Apple, the other one has been acquired by Google. So I mean, like 500,000 euro, 1 million, 2 million, whatever. So, I mean, it's not for a big company. So I think innovation is big in a big company is much more difficult compared to a startup company, because like in a big company, if you want to do like one small decision, you have to discuss with. You have to make several PowerPoints. But in a smaller company, it's not like that. So you just decide. Of course, you have your own complexity. You have to deal with the funding. You have to be very careful about what you want to experiment because it's smaller business, whatsoever. But you are much more faster. So you basically. It's much more. I would say that dynamic. But in a bigger company, it's basically what you would do is that no problem, we buy this company and then we add this part to our business, so it get bigger and bigger. Of course, you have more resources, but at the same time, you have to deal much more with, let's say, politics.
But it has troubles like GM. I wrote it that they have the two samples. They depend on innovations by small companies, and they have big faults because they bought the solars and some big companies without knowing when the turn point will be in innovation, and they lose more than $23 trillion. Yes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like that. These are the things that it's a long topic. I mean, like we can discuss. I mean, maybe put one other, let's maybe webinar, and then we start to discuss about it, because it's another word. So it's very interesting topic to discuss with, and I would be very interested to discuss further about that.
Thank you.
Anyway, so unfortunately, I have to leave. Because we had another timing, and unfortunately I booked my time for 4:30, and I have to leave right now. But I have been it was really my pleasure to talk with all of you, and definitely I'm looking forward to see all of you again.
Thank you.
Same for us.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Just I have 2 comments I want to add. The first one is about the last question from Dr. Samer to Sadegh. When we are speaking about innovation, I think we are limiting our space, because we have something more than innovation we have to work on. We have something it's related to our daily operations, not only innovations. So here, in this point, I agree totally 100% with your discussion, and you maybe also you more expert than me, but I'm thinking about the difference between the big mega IT companies, let's say, and the startup at that point, from different point of view, that the startup is able to produce the production to the client. And as Mr. Wissam said, the client, he is the hero, he is the champion. So we have platform, we have frameworks is created by Google, Microsoft, whatever. But at the end, who's responsible to bring this as a product to the client? It's this startup, or not startup, small and medium companies, let's say. This is the first comment. The second comment, in fact, I prevent myself from discussing with Mr. Wissam about medical claims and medical approvals model, because I have a lot of things I did on this, and if it will be a long discussion about this, but really, yes, the discussion will be very nice to do it soon. Last point I want to ask, its question comes from the audience to Mr. Wissam. Do you think that the Lebanese, and here I will change the word Lebanese with any other country, because I have some cases coming from Armenia, for example, is they are trying to be outsourced also in Armenia, and they are really great. They are really great because I have a partnership with them. Lebanese or any country companies are ready to open to use AI for their decision-making process. And is it affordable for them, especially that this will create job opportunities locally for data scientists? Before you start the answer, please, there is one thing. This is the main trick about AI, that most of the people, they are trying to explain that it will stop opportunities or stop jobs for somebody, but also it's opening job for another. And here, what Thom mentioned in the comment, I will back to you, Thom, about this to tell us about how it will grow this field and how we start from the basics and then go faster. First, your answer, Mr. Wissam, and then I will back to Thom.
Okay, but please,
Sure.
Dr. Samer, just mute your mic. Everyone who's not talking, just to mute their mics because there's some noise. Thank you.
Sure. So, in terms of the Lebanese companies, or even the regional companies, I would say, excluding Dubai, I think they are not using AI in their current decision making process, and the reason is it's not just because they don't like AI. It's because they don't need it right now. Their scale is not a big scale. It's their data is not really. I would say it's not really rich as much as big enterprises or large enterprises that we're thinking of, or exposed to different markets and these kind of things. So again, they are not going to use AI just for the sake of AI. That's just to make sure that we all understand this point. At some point, and specifically the exporters, not just the local market players. The local market players, they probably will not reach this level soon. But on the medium term, short or even short term, I would say the exporters will be challenged by this problem by addressing or using AI in their processes. Why? Because the challenge is coming from their competition and not just from the local market. Today, the competition is not just local. And the technology industry in general, not just the AI, the competition is worldwide, whether on talents or the problems or whatever you think of. The competition is driving our decision today. Even for companies that are software companies or technology companies, we are trying to introduce AI in our hiring process because we're not even capable anymore to handle all the loads that we're getting or the typical processes, HR processes that we have in place. So we need AI, we need chatbots, we need all of this. But again, it depends on the scale and the level or the place where you're competing. So this is my first question regarding the nature or the need for AI, specifically for the regional and local companies in Lebanon. In terms of job creation, we should not think of job creation just to serve the Lebanese or the local companies directly. But there is a huge need for data scientists and machine learning engineers globally, and not just based on specific regions. So we should not limit ourselves to the need in this region or in this market.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wissam. I will use one word from your side to go to Thom. In fact, you said that until now, AI, it's not a need for these companies or for this region, for a lot of scenarios, let's say. Thom, you tell us something about the history of electricity. And I think it would be nice contribution with Mr. Wissam Old.
Well, what encouraged me to think about this was the question earlier, is AI a luxury? And I thought about that and thought, well, yeah, in a way it is. You think about when the electric age started, people that were getting electric power to their homes, they were receiving a luxury. 10 to 20 years later, at least in my country, it's taken for granted. Then eventually things like small, tiny components, semiconductors came on the scene, diodes, transistors. And I remember I was a kid when it was a big deal to be able to take a small transistor radio to the park with you and lay in a blanket and listen to music. That's no big deal anymore. Now we have smartphones that bring, super high quality music. So if you look, history will repeat itself. We're just in this new age of AI, but 10 to 20 years from now, elementary kids will be saying, oh, Transformers, that's so 2020, or probably even 2018. I think the real opportunity, by the way, I did not disagree with anything that's been said, especially by Wissam. What I feel like he's focusing on is these short-term things that are happening, how to deal with them. But I would say the biggest opportunity is look where the current holes are in the space. Look where there's a need that you can fill. And one thing my team and I are working on is to help people see, don't just seek data science roles. Data science is needed in many roles. If you think you have to have a data science or a business analyst title to break into the field, that is wrong thinking. I would encourage everyone to get rid of that. Take the best job you can get, do your duties very well in that job, and in your extra time, apply data science to bring benefits to that job. There's opportunities everywhere to fill the gap. I want to point out too, as I look back, I realized I've been doing data science for longer than I realized. A friend had to point out to me, Thom, you're a data scientist. Well, yeah, I guess I'd say that. But I hadn't had a data science title until about 1.5 years ago. It didn't mean I wasn't a data scientist, though.
Okay, so Thom, you are telling us that we don't need to follow the title. We need to work and build over the things that we already know in order to get there. It's not about following a title or a name, right?
Find the needs where data can solve challenges and problems, and work with your business counterparts to fill those needs. If I could add just one other important thing, I don't think business acumen or domain expertise is the really most important thing for any data scientist or business analyst. And let me explain why. If you try to propose solutions that that domain experts aren't interested in, you're not going to get your AI stuff into use, into production. But if you spend time talking to them, understanding the trajectory of their concerns, their needs, and you look for the best intersection where your data skills can help them, now you've shown yourself to be an advocate to the domain experts. Work on the problems they care about. You need to find out what the domain experts think are the problems and apply AI solutions to those. But I would even add one more caution: do it in small steps. Don't feel like you have to deliver some big flashy solution all at once. You want to get frequent feedback on how what you're doing to solve their problems is going in the right direction. That means becoming friends with them, talking to them frequently about how you're trying to solve their needs with data, with AI.
Okay, so I'm gonna go from there into asking Mr. Wissam. Ghaith, do you have something?
Yes, I want to ask about. Go ahead, please. After you. No issue.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it like a public question now for the three of you, Mr. Thom, Mr. Wissam, and Dr. Samer, and even Ghaith and Zina, if you can contribute. Like, I'm gonna go and ask Mr. Wissam directly now. What do you think? Like, let's talk maybe about the manufacturing of tires in the world. Like, we have a leading 3 to 4 countries in the world who are leading countries in manufacturing tires. So, for example, let's say Germany and Italy, like the south of Europe. So other countries don't even mind to develop and do research on tires and stuff like that, because the quality of tires that is getting out of these countries is enough and the price is good. So they don't even think of like researching into that. I'm gonna go into my question from here. What's the importance of empowering the development of AI in MENA region? Where's the point in that? Like, we already have the tools from TensorFlow in the US and like the big companies and stuff like so. What do you think, Mr. Wissam, of that?
You know, it's when talking about people, it's completely different than compared to when you're talking about natural resources, right? So if Apple thought of BlackBerry the same way a few years ago, we would not even have an iPhone today, right? It was impossible to have an iPhone today because BlackBerry or companies like BlackBerry, Nokia, they had the biggest market share, and it was probably, or reasonably speaking, impossible to challenge them. However, Apple was able to challenge them and to take over all the market share from them. And then we had the Android and these things. In technology, this is the good part and the bad part about technology. It's the disruptive impact or disruptive nature. You don't really know whether your current competitors are the real ones or someone who's just sitting in his home working on new solution is going to compete with you in the next few months or even next few years. So when you're talking about people, about talents, it's all about brains. It's all about their capabilities, their personal capabilities, and there is no limits here. And you're not talking about machine limits or production limits or natural resources limits. It's all about the talents, about the intelligence of people. And I am convinced that there is no class A people and class B in terms of intelligence. We're all equal in the whole world. I've worked with different countries, the whole world, almost the whole world. I've worked from talents from South America to all the way to China. You can always find smart people everywhere, no exception. So when you're talking about talents, it's unpredictable. Nobody knows. You might even have someone who's a super talent living today in Lebanon or in any other country in MENA who's going to become the next leader in AI or any other technology in the future. It's impossible to predict it today. And this is the good part about it, This is what's giving us hope in the whole region, because we are able to compete with international players. It's not just because Google has TensorFlow or Amazon or Microsoft, they have the biggest platforms. And remember, even those players, they are not trying to dominate the solution domain. They are trying to enable you to create platforms because they know that the solutions are going to come from the talents. They are enabling them. This is it. That they are not doing much more than this. Even if you look into the largest platforms today in the world, it's not going to solve a direct business challenge without having what Thom is talking about or was talking about, which is the cross-matching between the mind, the talent, and the domain expertise. This is the real challenge or the real problem that we need to solve.
Okay, I will forward this question to Dr. Samer with another question. دكتور سامر كان سؤال عمار عن بشكل أساسي sorry for everyone, it's be in Arabic and then we will translate it. سؤاله بشكل أساسي عن أهمية السؤال اللي كنا نحن حكينا عنه، كان المثال اللي طرحه عن سوق الإطارات، إنه نحن ليش بحاجة لأنه نصنع شيء لمنتج محلي إذا كان نحن عندنا الإمكانية أو عندنا الإطارات، مصانع الإطارات الضخمة. هذا السؤال وبقودني لسؤال ثاني. نحن هلا بخلال حديثنا هون طرحنا مشاكل نحن اللي عم نواجهها في مختلف المناطق اللي متعلقه في العالم العربي وايران وتركيا. طرحنا بعض المبادرات اللي مستر وسام كان بيمثلها، وفي امثله ثانيه كان ممكن اطرحها بس نحن كان الافضل انه نعطي الوقت للضيوف. وطرحنا بعض التحديات الخاصه بالمواد التعليميه والمواد العمليه. انا حابب منك حاليا بالاضافه لجواب سؤال عمار انه تعطينا مثل خلاصه شو هي الحلول العمليه اللي نحن ممكن نستفيد منها حتى نمكن المبادرات اللي خلينا نقول من حجم متوسط مثل حاله شركه سيد وسام او الستارت ابس او حتى الافراد اللي عندهم الموهبه اللي ممكن يقدموا شيء في هالمنطقه. الحلول العمليه اللي انت ممكن تقترحها. دكتور سامر صوتك ميوت، اظن لازم اعمل اميوت.
بالنسبه لسؤال السيد عمار، موضوع ليش نصنع، طبيعة الناس هي أو طبيعة البشر هي قائمة على المنافسة أو التقليد ثم المنافسة أو المنافسة ثم التقليد. وهذا الشيء شفناه بين السباق الأمريكي والصيني اللي عمره طويل وما زال قائم حتى الآن. هذا الشيء لا يمكن أنه يعني تقتصر على صناعة دون صناعة أو شيء دون شيء، فهذا شيء مفتوح للجميع. لذلك سنرى المنافسة موجودة دائما والتقليد موجود دائما. بيفرق معنا الموضوع بين مشان أعطي انتقل للسؤال الثاني مباشرة. الفرق ما بين انه نحكي عن شركات اي تي او اي اي او سوفت وير مثلا، عن قضيه الصناعه الفيزيائيه اللي تفضل فيها اشار الاستاذ وسام. الصناعه الفيزيائيه شيء ممكن تتكامل من خلال اللوجستيات الموجوده بين الدول وبين دول وسيطه، لكن بالنسبه لصناعه السوفت وير عموما بكل انواعها ممكن نحن نحل مشكلتنا بالبلاتفورمز فينا تجارب ناجحة جدا في العالم موجودة وتقودها شركات ضخمة جدا. فلذلك الحل أنا برأيي إنه ننتقل مشان نخلص من قضية العقبات السياسية والتقنية داخل الدولة وخارج الدولة، تنحل معنا من خلال المبادرات الفردية اللي أنا أشرت لها. بما أنه ما عم بحسن نساوي مبادرة جماعية، خليني بالمبادرة الفردية، خلينا ننقذ هالناس اللي هن فاعلين جدا. فبنعمل لهم بلاتفورمز ممكن الأمور تكون بطريقة فعالة جدا ومتكاملة جدا عالميا. وأنا بتصور هذا الشيء قائم حاليا وموجود، ما هو غريب، لكن عم نحكي كحلول الاي اي. نحن نفس القصة بنمشي فيها بنفس الطريقة. لما بده يكون في شيء فيزيائي، في حلول أخرى عند اللزوم، مثل اللوجستيات مثلا. يعني بنشوف الباصات مثلا اللي عم تجي من اليابان عم تتصنع محركة في البرازيل، عم تتصدر لسوريا ولبنان من تركيا. فاللوجستيات أمر آخر، يعني إلى تطورات خاصة. بتصور هيك أفضل الحلول إنه ننقذ المبادرات الفردية اللي هن مثل ما تفضل أخونا وسام، في عقول هائلة جدا في كل مكان. وبما أنه في عقبات، خلص نحن بنجمعها بالبلاتفورمز وبتنتهي القصة. مع الأيام إن شاء الله تعالى ممكن يشوفوا بعضهم أو ما في داعي. وخصوصي إنه هلا حلوا مشكلة اللمس وحلوا مشكلة الشم، يعني خلاص انتهت القصة تقريبا ريموتلي.
هو يعني تقريبا انتهت تقريبا مش بالمية. انا عندي بس
نعم.
فكره صغيره ممكن اقولها. حتى بعض الشركات الكبيره اللي هي ممكن تقبل شغل ريموتلي، نحن عم نحكي عن مبادره فرديه مختلفه عن عمل شركه كبيره، بس حتى بعض الشركات الكبيره بتقول لك انا ممكن اقبل انك تكون عم تشتغل معي ريموتلي، بس تكون داخل الدوله اللي انا مقري فيها او داخل الدول اللي الي فيها برانشز، ما تكون برا. هلا هي لسه لا زالت كل شركه والثانيه لها البوليسي تبعيتها، بس انا اؤيد الفكره اللي انت قلتها انه ممكن نحن يكون في عندنا كروس باوندريز، كروس ريجن، يعني شركات صغيره عابره للقارات قائمه على مبدا المشاركه وباستعمال البلاتفورمز والكوميونيكيشنز التولز الموجوده حاليا، ممكن تؤدي الغرض بشكل كثير معقول. شكرا دكتور سامر لجوابك. Ammar, if you want to translate,
Yeah, sure.
or move to Thom soon, I don't know.
Okay, sure. So Ghaith asked Dr. Samer about the problems that we discussed, or we already discussed the problems and the possibilities and all the things that are facing the development of AI in MENA. So he asked him about the practical solution. What can we do? Like, we can always nag and ask questions and like say that the situation is bad, but like as Mr. Wissam showed us, we could do something. So Dr. Samer replied that first, regarding the question about the tire that I personally asked before, the human type is about copying and then giving a better solution. This is like the problem, like the competition between China and the US always. Like they copy, like both of them copy and then give something better. This is the development. This is what pushes the chain of development. So there is a difference. Dr. Wissam said that there is a difference between manufacturing something physical and the development of software, because the physical things need physical resources and like physical stuff to use. So in this case, making software will only need a common platform, and we all know that the human power is out there in different countries. So we only need to cross the boundaries and the borders and then move into using all the human power and the human talents that are out there. So to sum up, the possible practical solution is making personal initiatives, not to wait for governments and teams, and then go to make common platforms to solve things. One last thing, just to sum up, there's an example on those platforms. It's Coursera community platform. I and Ghaith and Zina met there, and we leverage from this platform to meet each others and meet other people who are interested in the same domain. And maybe this is one of the webinars that is a result of it. Please.
Thank you, Ammar. And I think Zena, we have 5 minutes to close. So Zena or Ammar,
Okay.
anything to add?
I have before closing, there is my father that is watching this live. I tell him Baba Aishik because he's watching this and you are paying attention to this conference. And as an end question, I am going to take as an advantage that we have a variety of profiles here. And I am going to adapt this last question to each of our guests and hosts' profiles. So my question is the following. What do you have as an end word to MENA youth or any people in MENA that are trying to start learning or working in this field? So for Mr. Wissam, it's going to be the following. For people that are trying in MENA, trying to start their own business in AI, what would be the advices for them? And for Dr. Samer, what do you have for students? What do you have to tell for your students that want to work on this and want to evaluate? For Thom, for people that want to contribute in sharing expertise in AI and growing together within communities, what you advise them? And for Ammar, for researchers in MENA telling that they have no enough resources, what would be your sentence for them? Even give them some resources. And for Ghaith, he has a variety of experiences. Please, if you are addressing to Syrian people that are mainly now struggling to find either job or to continue studies, what would be your word for them? And after that, I will conclude with a little message to the youth that are becoming data scientists in North Africa. So let's start with Mr. Wissam. After that, Mr. Samer. Yeah, one sentence. Yeah.
Sure. Actually, I will start with my personal experience, and because I think since we've done everything from our country, and I encourage people within this domain not to immigrate because they have equal opportunities in their countries, and they can even contribute much more in their countries. I would start with the basic thing, which is a dream. If you don't have a dream, then it's worthless, right? I think it's important to have a dream that's not related to you as a person, but it's more related to the community where you live. It's about a dream to make a change for the people around you, whether using AI or technology or any other things. This is a start. If the dream is to become someone or to become on the cover of Forbes, it's not really a dream. This is something important for entrepreneurs or for anyone who's dreaming of building a new venture, to have more of a focused benefit for the community and the people around them. The same way we thought about CME when we started CME, it was about hiring people, nothing else. We did not even think about building solutions and building, not even business plans. This was our vision. It is until today, and it will be forever, this vision. It's more about hiring people. This is what we dreamed about, and we were able to do it. And we proved that our model is right, is correct, despite everything that happened in Lebanon, which is I call the perfect storm. But this is the first thing. The second thing is to always have a balance between creativity and discipline. It's not enough to have a creativity. It's not enough to just build nice ideas or think about new solutions and big solutions. It's more about discipline. This is how you execute. If you don't execute well, then you don't even have anything. Zero. It's like a car, a nice car without an engine. Discipline is the engine. So it's important to have a balance between discipline and the engine. And the final comment is never fall into complacency. Never think that you've done it or you've accomplished whatever you think, because in technology, disruption is extremely easy. You would sleep today on a given situation, and you would wake up tomorrow with competitors that would take you out of the market easily. So it's important to keep reinventing your ideas, yourselves, your team, to care about the team, to care about not just what you serve or who you serve, but also the team that you currently have. So these are the main recommendations that I have, which I summarize by the dream, the creativity, and the discipline, or the balance between discipline and creativity.
Thank you. And now let's go to Dr. Samer. دكتور سامر، ماذا تقول للطلبة في سوريا أو الطلبة في مينا عامة؟ excuse my Arab.
أنا بدي أبني بعد الأخ وسام، بعد العناصر الثلاثة اللي ذكرهم. خلينا نروح على الإكزيكيوت. خلينا نبدأ بالإكزيكيوت. مقترحة بالبداية كأني مصر عليه أن نعمل بلاتفورم وتشاركوا فيه أنتم كقاعدين بعيد ونوعا ما إن شاء الله خبراء. فهذا الكلام بيشجع أي بروجكت، أي حدا بده عم يعمل بروجكت، إنه في مين عم يدعم من برا أو في عنده أمل يتاخذ مشروعه لينعرض لبلاتفورمز أخرى، سواء يحضر على كراود فاندينج مثلا أو يحصل على أشياء أخرى، وممكن ينزل على أرض الواقع. الدريمز أخي وسام موجود تقريبا، بس المشكلة إنه هذا دريمز مقتول بسبب الصعوبات اللي حكينا فيها. أنا هاي فكرتي.
Thank you, Mr. Samer. And now we go to Dr. Thom, or my friend Thom, I prefer. Go for it, Thom.
I really appreciate what everyone has said today. And I just want to reiterate that the resources are there. As long as you have a basic computer and the internet, there's nothing stopping you. It may be a little harder than the next person, but keep learning. Look at other people's work. Build your own portfolio to show what you're able to do. Keep looking for ways to fill needs with AI. If you keep doing those things consistently, you will be able to contribute to the space. And I hope that helped.
Ghaith?
In fact, I have nothing to say after this great people what they said. But I will say one thing. Thom and Dr. Samer, because we both of you previously, we are, let's say, I'm student of you, you are my mentors, I'm friends with you. Dr. Samer, I will try to execute. I will try to start to execute. Okay, this is a promise. Okay, Thom, I think we have to discuss about this later because we can know how to start this execution plan that Dr. Samer mentioned in Arabic. Thank you.
And for me, I would like to firstly say thank you for being with us today. And I'm so excited to try to apply this for. I will address this to North African youth coming from the same place where I come. I know it's hard. I know we always will be nagging about not having enough resources, and you are always going to be nagging about many things. But just I want you to, each time you are feeling down, just concentrate, believe in your dreams and objectives, and watch the few minutes interventions of Mr. Wissam. I think he's the best example to show us that we are able to do anything if we believe in ourselves and if we concentrate on it and apply. Really, I'm so honored to have you with us today. And please concentrate on your objectives. I believe that we have enough talents, but we don't have enough determination and enough hard work and enough consistency. Just work hard. And for now, I will leave the word to Ammar. What do you have to say to the Lebanese researchers? Anything? Go for it.
Ammar, just one thing, because we have to take care about the time. Please say your words and summarize. I want to thank everyone who joined. Thanks for our guests. Thanks for Zina. Thanks for Ammar. Ammar, the last word is for you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that everyone should always look forward. No step is a big step. You just have to do something. You cannot stay still and wait for something to change. At the end of this webinar, I would like to thank Zina, first of all, Ghaith for organizing the platform and everything and the content. Thank you so much. Thom, Dr. Samer, Mr. Wissam, thank you all so much for being there and giving us some of your time. Like, this is for free, that you are just giving to the community for free, and this is really valuable. Thank you everyone who watched this webinar. We would meet soon. Just wait for us, and let's connect on LinkedIn and everywhere, just to make a bigger community. To summarize about the content, we should always look forward. There is no barriers except for the barriers that we make for ourselves. We could do anything, even with the few resources. We would have some more problems, that we can do it at the end. Thank you everyone for being there. See you later.
Thank you, Ammar.
Thank you. Bye.
I want to thank Mr. Sadegh because he leaves us, but he was with us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry.
And see you next month. Thank you.
Yes.